About 1 week after your pool is dug, you will receive the pool build manual and instructions, which your start date will always be located here. Remember, your pool construction starts from the start date that we dug the pool. Sometimes, if you sign the contract several weeks or even several months before, we have had to wait till this point to get HOA approval. So please understand that we can't get the job done any faster than the first day that we start. So that's the day that we're going to start. Right when you open up the pool build manual, you will see just about halfway down there's a paragraph. We like to be upfront with everything. Don't let it scare you, but the pool construction process sometimes isn't fun because you're not familiar with it. But once you go through the entire packet and watch this video in its entirety, a lot of your questions will be answered. It does say your entire yard is about to be a complete mess for the next 12 to 24 weeks. Again, it starts the day construction starts, not when the proposal is signed. GreenCare simply has no control over your HOA or city permitting delays. Depending on the scope of your project, unforeseen obstacles and delays on any pool, it could possibly take longer than 24 weeks, but those are very elaborate pools, and it's very rare that that would happen. But this packet will really help you through the process, so please take the time to read through it and watch this video in its entirety and refer back to it as needed during the pool build. This is the first day of your pool build. We bring the iron stakes, we put them in the ground, and we do the pool layout on the ground, as you can see here. We just got here about an hour ago, and the pool layout has been completed. We will then pound these stakes into the ground and lay the boards. So that will be the permanent shape of the pool. This is the spa area, as you can see. We are getting ready to bring in the heavy equipment and get started on the dig. This area we will be bringing the excavator and the front loader through, and we will be removing this small area here that you see to get access to the yard. As you can see here, this is your electric meter and your gas meter. These will be where the equipment lines are ran to. The gas meter will be removed by the gas company and switched out with a larger meter at the end of the project. The homeowner has to do this themselves because the gas company only deals with the individual that owns the home. So this here is going to be your PVV valve. Sometimes it's a good idea to protect it so it doesn't freeze. But if your water is leaking for any reason at all and you need to turn off the water to your PVV valve, all you'll do is go to this location, and as you can see, there's two valves on here. Just simply turn the valve as seen here, and it will turn off your water. This way it will stop leaking temporarily, and then you can contact us and we will come out and fix it. A lot of times when it freezes, this here will crack and it will leak. It's just an inherent issue with these systems, but we will take care of it for you. These are included with nearly every home that's built. I know this is a long video, but this part is important. So keep paying attention, and this video will really answer several of the questions you're going to have. We bring in the heavy equipment. What we do is we first bring in the excavator to start digging the pool, and we use a bobcat, either a mini like this or a larger one if you have the access. And we will offload them and enter here after we remove the wall and start digging, and then we will find a place to pile the dirt out in front of your home somewhere. As you can see, there's an area here at this residence, or if it's a different residence, we simply find a logical area to put the dirt, and we load the dirt in our dump trucks to get rid of it until it is all gone. And that is how the pool is dug from the start. On the third page of your pool build manual, this is the basic schedule of your pool. As you can see, it's anywhere from 12 to 24 weeks. So this varies greatly depending on multiple things that can arise during a pool build. We try to explain all of that in this pool build manual. Again, it greatly depends on if you've selected a simple, clean, maybe a contemporary build that takes much less time versus a pool that has a grotto, landscaping, a patio cover, barbecue, added deck, elaborate raised areas. Those are all virtually separate projects within themselves, and they take several extra weeks. So if your pool is done in, say, 14 weeks, and then we start on the decking, and that takes 2 weeks, and the barbecue takes another 2 weeks, and then the patio cover, well, another 2 weeks. You get the idea. It can go over, but your pool is normally done in the first 12 to 16 weeks. The other items do take longer. So that's why we give you all of the time parameters here. Okay, this is the second day of the excavation. As you can see, we pile up dirt in the street. This is the morning of the second day. This is the point where we access the yard. As you can also see, some of the landscaping and rock has been disturbed. This is repaired with the cost of the access repair, if it had to be gone through at the end of the job, which will be cost only. We also block off the opening normally by just turning the gate sideways. If we don't do that, sometimes we will just leave it open. But if you have animals, we can enclose it with some orange mesh fence. There you can also see where the wall was knocked down so we get access for the equipment. Here, as you can see, after one day, this is normally the progress the guys would have made. This is if there is no caliche or hard dig, which it appears there has not been in this yard. Here's the excavator where they pile up the dirt, and then they take it out with the front loader there. We also will dig a trench at this time, depending on the yard, to run to where your equipment will be placed. So this trench on this property is going to go all the way here, and then we run the piping for the gas lines and the plumbing and electrical on the inside wall of the pool, which will be encased in a material that's called Shotcrete, which is the shell of your pool. As you can see on the street, there will be some tire marks, and sometimes even areas where there is a little oil leaked. But over time, this will be faded by the weather and also when they do street cleaning. Here you can see the GreenCare dump truck is coming in to start loading up the dirt. As you can see, we bring in a larger loader sometimes for the dirt because we bring in our larger dump trucks. This way we can get rid of the dirt as quickly as possible off of the street, as you can see here. This is a 10-wheeler, so it holds 4 times the amount of the normal smaller dump trucks. So this dirt that you see here will be gone rather quickly. Okay, here we are on day 3 of the excavation. The excavator is parked here. The dump truck has left with yet another load of dirt. As you can see, the street will look bad. There's dirt all over the street. You can see many track marks and other items. This all cleans up very nicely after the job is completed. And if you look on page 4 of your construction manual, there's an asphalt damage facts and disclaimer. So please read through that and it will explain it in much more detail. Okay, so here we are on day 3 and the excavation is complete. If you go to page 5 of your pool construction manual, it will tell you a little bit about the excavation. As you can see, Here, the excavator has been placed and it's ready for removal. We have cleaned out all of the dirt. And the pool has been completely dug out. And it is now ready for the plumbing phase. That is where your skimmer will go. As you can see, that's dug out there. The spa is all set. The stairs are dug. And plumbing will be the next phase. This phase will be scheduled in the next 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how many other jobs we have in front of this one for the plumbing. Okay, at this point, we are on the plumbing phase, and the client pointed out that their bubblers were not installed in the wet deck. So I wanted to discuss this here. Many times there are things in the contract that are discussed during the design phase, they're reviewed, and then they don't end up in the contract. So we ask that you look at your contracts and your proposals in detail. If an item is mentioned during the design phase and does not end up on the contract, unfortunately, we will need to do a change order if that item is wanted. To remain in business, we must require items to be listed on contracts with a fair price agreed to install each item. GreenCare cannot authorize items on a project free of charge, or we would simply go out of business. Here's an example. If a client asks, for instance, during the 3D design phase, can we do a fire pit, bubblers, a salt generator, whatever it may be, the answer from our representative should always be yes, because we do install these items. If the contract is then written up and the item is not listed, that doesn't mean GreenCare can do it for free. It was simply an oversight or admitted to meet a budget. Please be understanding when this occurs. We need to then add this item as a change order with a fair price listed to get it installed. Or you can add it at a later time if it's not in your budget. We as a business don't feel this is an unreasonable position. If you look on your pool build manual on page 6, it explains the plumbing process. So take a look and read through all of the information. They have now laid out all the pipes for the future water features, and they have mounted them to the forms. There's going to be 3 shear descents on the back of this pool, and there will also be a raised bond beam across the back with tile. So that is where the shear descents will be mounted. This is where the future skimmer will go, and there is all the plumbing for the future jets on the spa. These are the tools that we use to complete the plumbing. And these pipes will run all the way from the gas meter to there, which is the future position of the pool equipment. The next phase after plumbing will be the steel, which will happen in the next 1 to 2 weeks. We are about 2 weeks into the project now. Here we have finished the trench down the side of the house where the gas meter is. Remember, again, the homeowner has to call at the end of the job once all inspections have passed and have the gas company switch out the meter. And you have to wait 30 days after water is in your pool to use your heater, or else it could damage the pool surface with the hot water. Here is the gas line, which runs under the footer of the wall that was here all the way to the backyard. All right, so here we are, and the plumbing is nearly complete. This trench has the gas line running all the way around, going in this ventilation tube through the side there, which will be encased inside of Shotcrete. So all of these pipes will be protected by the concrete walls. The next phase will be the steel shell, which will be a crisscross pattern through the entire pool, and you'll be able to start to see the shape even more so. All of these pipes have been set and will run to the equipment, which is on this side. The gas line goes from here all the way to the other side of the house, which if your equipment is on the opposite side of your house, it's normally an added charge of around $2,500 depending on the distance. All of these pipes will have sand over the top of them to protect them in the trenches, which is the next step, and then the steel will be scheduled. I do want to mention one thing here. This is just a small barbecue that the client left in the backyard, but oftentimes it's a good idea to take anything as far as patio furniture or anything virtually that you don't want to be covered in dust and put it into your garage before we start the excavation. I don't think they care too much about this little barbecue, but if it's something you don't want dust all over, we ask you please put it away before we start construction. Otherwise it will get very dirty. And if you have a hole in your backyard, even before the plumbing, we need you to get your tile selections made, your deck selections made, and any other selections you haven't yet made, because oftentimes there are 4, 6, even 8-week delays on certain materials. When you do make your tile selection, it's a good idea to pick several options, because sometimes the manufacturers will discontinue tile without notifying us. So there's nothing we can do if they discontinued a tile or a paver or even a rock sometimes. And we do ask that you make a different selection, because we cannot get a product that has been discontinued and is completely out of our control. So please understand that. Thank you. Okay, here we are on week 3. The plumbing is complete and all of the trenches have been filled in with sand. The next stage is the steel. So we bring in steel piece by piece, as you can see here, and we start to form the shell around the pool. And once that is done, we do the rough electrical. You can read more about it on page 8 of your pool build manual. The steel has all been brought into the backyard, and then we'll get started on the shell. Once it is complete, we go to rough electric, as I said earlier. Okay, this is your steel shell, which is done after plumbing. This is nearly complete. He will add the blocks to raise the steel up off of the dirt. So there is a gap between the dirt and the steel. And then the Shotcrete shell will be sprayed on, and the steel works to reinforce the Shotcrete shell. This spa will be a 360-degree negative edge spa, and the Shotcrete shell will be sprayed around that and then topped with tile. After this phase, we do the rough electric and then the Shotcrete shell. This is what it looks like when it's nearly completed. I do want to review the drainage plan. This is the HOA plan, and it is sent to your homeowners association. These symbols here do not represent actual drains. These are simply areas that the water will drain out towards the front of the house. We don't have to put in physical drains and drainage pipe at most properties. This explains the diagram for proper drainage. It drains away from the house, away from all of the perimeter walls, and down the center of each side of the residence, out to the front. Normally it just drains by putting a pitch in the dirt or the deck to lead the water out, and most of the water will actually drain into the ground. But if there is heavy rain, it will slowly trickle down the sides of the house and end up out front, where it's supposed to drain to. Drainage pipes are often not needed. I just wanted to make this clear. Here you can see that the 2 bubblers have been added. They were not in the original plan or on the proposal, so we went ahead and added those because the client wanted to do those, which that will be a change order. Also, the steel has all been completed, and it's lifted up off of the dirt by using those little gray blocks. And then the Shotcrete will go over this steel. But again, the electrical piping, the gray conduit, will be ran all through the edges of the walls, and it will come around to this side and be ran all the way to the equipment there. And you can see the panel is also been mounted onto the wall of the house. Sometimes we do these on the wall, on the property line wall. It just depends on the situation and the best location, which is determined by the electrical workers. Here, there's also a bond wire, which is required, which basically grounds the pool so no one is ever electrocuted. This is the Shotcrete phase. We bring in multiple trucks that are full of Shotcrete. As you can see, there's one at the end of the street down there. And here's another one that is offloading the Shotcrete material into the pumps. This material is pumped by compressors through a tube, as you see there, into the backyard. And this is what creates the shell on your pool. These tubes run from the Shotcrete machine and the compressors all the way down the side of your residence into your backyard. We put up tarps to protect your walls, and all the material is shot and it is smoothed out. To form your shell, as you can see here. By the end of the day, the spa and the raised wall that is going to go in the back there will all be formed up, and they will continue this smoothing process throughout the day as the shell hardens, so we could have the final shape of the pool. If you have raised bond beam on the back of your pool, this is how we shoot it. It comes out of a hose. We use boards back behind the raised bond beam. And this is the original form, and then the guys shape it with trowels throughout the day. And just so you're aware, the front side of the raised bond beam will be finished off with whatever your selection was, if it was a standard tile or an upgrade for stacked stone or an upgraded glass tile. But the back side of these raised bond beams behind the pool is an unfinished look. That is standard on all pools. It will be unfinished. If you want the back side of the raised bond beam to be finished with a stucco or a tile or anything you want, that will be an upgraded cost. Most of the time, no one goes back there, so there's no reason to finish it, but sometimes clients will want that area finished off. So we can finish it, but there is an added cost to do so. You can see here, he is nearly finished with the raised bond beam wall, and he is continuing to spray. As each truck pulls up out front, he will continue to spray. A pool this size is usually about 4 to 6 truckloads of Shotcrete material. You can see at the end to the far right over there, they have started to form. As the Shotcrete dries, it becomes easier to form. And then they cut it and shape it to fit your particular pool size. You can see here how they shaved the face of the raised bond beam off while it's still damp. And it's very easy to cut through. Throughout the day, the Shotcrete will begin to harden, and they will continue the shaping process to get it perfect and ready for tile. On this particular pool, we are doing a 360-degree negative edge spa. So he shoots both sides of the spa. Here he is about 60 to 70% done, and he will be finishing around the rest of the spa. You can see we've made additional progress on the rest of the pool as far as shaping and forming it in to the shape it is going to be when it's done. You can see here where the shear descents go on the raised bond beam. We cut these out while the Shotcrete is still wet, depending on the size of the shear descent. You can see the wall has been completely finished and smoothed out to create a nice shape. Here we have formed up the spa, and the raised bond beam has been completely formed as well. We also put in a handheld, so that way if anyone's in the pool, they have something to grab onto. This is an item that's required by code. So you can see that little notch there across the back of the pool. We're finishing off this wall, and here we have piled the concrete to finish the steps off. By the end of the day, this will all be smoothed out and your shell will be formed. At this point, your pool has been dug and the shotcrete is complete, which I'll show you in a moment. But you should have received a package in the mail which includes all of these items. One of the major complaints that we get is communication. So what we have done is we have put these items together to answer many of the questions you have before you feel that we are not communicating with you properly. You will get the pool build manual and instructions. Please read through that. It is 15 pages, which I have mentioned this before. The next item is extremely important. This has to do with your selections, and it also explains the Southwest gas meter where you have to switch it out, and it has a tremendous amount of questions and answers. This way, if you read through it, you can get the answers that you need, so you don't have to call the office and wait for someone to call you back. It explains who to contact at the different various stages. It explains the HOA plans, sometimes that they're different. It explains the trenches being backfilled, which I'm going to show you here in a minute in the yard. Many things, basically, it explains. And these are the most common questions that we get. So we want you to be comfortable during the build. And this explains the majority of the questions. You also get explanation of the drainage. This explains that your yard is now an active work site. People will be coming and going without notice, and it's very dangerous to go back there. So try to stay out of the active construction zone. This is the master tile. This is where you go to pick your selections for your tile if you haven't yet done that. This is a selection sheet for your patio cover color if you have a patio, your plants, all the paper selections. Fill this out if you haven't already done so. Get it signed and get that over to our office, support@GREENCARE.NET or Tracy@GREENCARE.NET. This explains if you have to have your windows tempered, and that basically we don't know if your windows need to be tempered. Sometimes they're tempered from the builder, and also sometimes you don't need to temper them, most of the time actually, if they're far enough away from the pool. So if the inspector requires that, you need to contact these guys to get those tempered. So please read through all of the vast information that we give to you, and it will really help you through the process to understand everything much better. All right, the shotcrete has been completed. You can see all the shear descents are cut out. The spa is ready for tile. This back area is ready for tile. The bubblers are set in place. We have also dug out a hole for a future umbrella sleeve. The client has been wetting down the shotcrete. You can see there's pooled water in the bottom, which is fine. Don't worry about it if it pools a little bit. That will all dry out over time. This shell looks fantastic. Once the shotcrete is done, you do need to water your shell down. Basically hit all of the gray areas with water with a hose 3 to 5 times a day. And in the really hot summer months, you need to hit it even more so it doesn't dry out. All of this surface will be covered with tile. The one area that's not finished, remember, is the back side of any pool. If there's a raised area, raised bomb beam, this is how it will look when it's completed. But you literally have to walk around the back side of the pool to see it. So as far as a standard pool, that is not included. If you want to do stucco or something back there, we can, but it will be a small added charge. The equipment is in place. The electrical is in place. We are clear to go on this. We're going to backfill all of these trenches and start grading out for the deck, which that is scheduled, I believe, the end of this week. We are about 8 weeks into the projects, this project in particular now, and the shotcrete has just been done. So next phase will be the tile and the deck. Remember, the job does slow down sometimes. There's a 2 to 6 week delay after shotcrete. We have to schedule in all the crews, and we line out all the pools accordingly depending on the crew's schedule. So there is sometimes a delay here. This is the detail work, and we have to get highly skilled craftsmen in here, which we schedule them out anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks depending on how many pools we have under construction currently. So we do ask you're patient during this phase and just continue to water the shotcrete shell. Thank you. Okay, so you can see here I've just wet down the shotcrete shell. I simply took this hose, which the homeowner had purchased and left on site, and I sprayed down the entire shotcrete shell. This is what each homeowner needs to do 2 to 3 times a day once the shotcrete has been completed. Wet down all of the areas so they are just slightly damp, and this will help the shotcrete shell cure properly and prevent shrinkage cracks. Shrinkage cracks are normal but wetting it down accordingly will help with the shrinkage cracks, but they don't mess with the structural integrity of the shotcrete. So if you see them, it's nothing to be concerned about. Okay, all of the trenches have now been backfilled and compacted. We have started on the tile phase, which we have staged the materials here on the side. And you can see the tile has started to go in on the front side of the raised bond beam. Also around the water line of the entire pool and on the spa. On this pool, the spa is going to be a 360-degree negative edge spa, so the water will flow out and over the edges of the spa. As you can see right there, there's a gap, so the water will come up and over and go down the sides of the entire spa, which is a beautiful look. All the trenches again have been backfilled, and the equipment is all ready to go. Electric's ready to go. Next, we will be doing the decking on this particular job. The decking is also going to be tiled, so we will put down a concrete base for the tile, and we will lay the concrete all around the edges wherever the deck's going to go, and then we will place the tile on the top. Again, I want to remind you the back of the raised bond beam is unfinished. It just is a concrete look because normally no one would go back here. And that is how it looks when it's finished. If you want to have it done, we can tile it or do whatever texture you want back there, but it is additional cost. So this is the tile phase, and it has been completed. Next is the pool edging, which is either cantilever edge, pavers, or on this particular job it will be tile edge. We are about the 11-week mark in the job, and we are making great progress. Okay, this is the concrete truck, and we are starting the concrete today on this project. The guys are in back prepping, taping everything off, and getting ready to pour. The forms have been set, and they've started on the grading. This is where they will pour the concrete base, and then they will lay the tile over the base of the concrete. They lay string lines for the level. Got the form set, and they will be pouring later on this morning. You can see here we throw the debris into the pool. When you see debris in your pool like this, and water in the bottom, and trash, do not be concerned. We do a clean out at the end of the job, and we pick all of this stuff out. Even though it looks messy, the pool is actually a good place to toss all of the leftovers instead of leaving them lying around the yard. But again, it is an active work site, so stuff like this is normal. We clean up the best we can at the end of each day. But if there are piles of rocks and chips from the tile and stuff like this, as you can see here, this is again completely normal. We grade it all down and do a final cleanup at the end of the job and get all this stuff out of here. So do not be concerned if there's debris and things like this left around your yard. We ask that you treat this as an active work site. Again, we try to get all the trash and everything out of here. This is the tile for the deck. That's all staged. This will all be going on the top of the deck, which is there. Here you can see the concrete base has been completed. We will overlay tile on the top. We will place this tile on top of the concrete and around the edge of the entire pool. This is now ready for tile. You can see here, if you look closely, there's been a small drainage deco drain placed all the way from one end, and it goes all the way down to the other end. I'll walk around so you can see that. We've also started to grade this side a bit, so the water will drain to this point and it'll hit the dirt, and we will grade the yard so it heads down each side of the house. There was about a 2-week delay to get the concrete scheduled. Our concrete crew is normally about 2 weeks out. So when you get to this point, if there is a short delay before we do the concrete, please don't be alarmed. We're just waiting on the concrete crew to get you on their schedule. Next phase is the tile and the border of the pool. Okay, we have started on the tile installation over the deck. Here he is doing the autofill, getting that ready to go. We're doing an offset pattern, which will be throughout the entire deck, all the way to the other end. And work will complete on this until it is finished. All of the water line has been completed. The spa has been completed. This tile all the way around. We just need to grout. All of this dirt back here will be graded. When we start the landscaping, we will remove all of this and take out all of the chunky rocks and things like that, depending on what the final grade is going to be. Throw the leftovers in the pile here, and we run the saw in the pool. So this will continue throughout the next few days. Alright, we're now continuing work on the deck. Remember, the permit stays on the gas meter. If not here, on the other side on the gate. Remember to leave this outside. The inspectors need to gain access to that. Here, we are about 30% done with the tile overlay. This line here is where the drainage will go. The guys are having a little lunch over there, as you can see. We have completed the tile overlay on the deck. The next phase will be installing the grout in between all of the joints. Here you can see there's a gap, and we fill that in with grout. We've done some rough cleanup of the yard. It's getting ready for landscaping. All of the tile has been completed around the spa and on the back of the raised bond beam. Next phase will be the landscaping. Again, don't worry about the water in the pool. We take that out before we do the final pool surface and put the water in. Okay, so work has continued. We have completed nearly the entire pathway, which is concrete square steps with tile overlay, same as the deck. The barbecue has been installed. The initial frame has been done anyhow, and then we're going to do stucco and tile over this to match the house and the deck. The border has been done around the future grass area. You see there is trash and debris left here. We leave this till the end of the job. Right before landscaping is when we clean it up. There will normally be some added extra materials We always over order on the materials, so there will always be extra materials, sometimes even 2 and 3 pallets, because we never want to run short. We always take the extra materials back to the shop and use them on the next job. It's not that those are the materials that were specific as far as square footages and things for your job. It's just that we always like to order extra. All of the tile work has been completed on the raised bond beam in the back. The box will always be sitting like that. That is normal. They install that when we do the pool surface, either plaster or quartz. On this one, the customer ended up upgrading the back side of their bond beam to added tile. That was an upgraded cost, but they wanted it done, so we went ahead and did it. Normally that would just be regular rough gray because you don't normally see it. All of the tile has now been grouted, and this job is getting very close to completion. On these contemporary tile jobs, this line here is normal. Underneath this there is the drainage, which was discussed earlier. So that is what it will look like if it is done this way. Sometimes we also do catch drains, and there's multiple ways to do drainage. It just depends on the situation. So the spa is completed, and this job is now ready for landscaping and water in the pool. So there will be an inspection called in. Sometimes that takes 2 or 3 weeks, and also the pool surface, whether it be plaster or quartz, will possibly be a 2 to 4 week delay as well at this point, depending on what needs to be done. We will also need to get inside of your residence at this time to put on alarms on all of the windows with access to the yard, and also all of the doors with access to the yard. So we'll need to schedule a time to come out and meet with you to do that. It is required by the city. It has nothing to do with your home alarm or anything like that. They're just little alarms that go on the doors and windows that will alert you if a child or someone tries to gain access to the backyard. Here we have put up the pilaster. We have pool coated the gate, which means we have to add this screen, and we have to make the gate to where it opens outward. And we also add a spring so it's self-closing. We have completed the steps going into the yard, and we are now working on the barbecue grill, which they have upgraded to tile on their barbecue grill versus stucco. Curbing is done. The landscaping is getting ready to start. All of the tile is done, and we are ready for landscaping and water. As you can see, the barbecue is getting finished up with tile now. We're now in the landscaping phase. We dump the rock in the street, as you see here. It gets a little dust on the ground, which once it's done, it will fade over time, and the street cleaners come through and clean it up. We also deliver the materials in the street to install the pavers, and oftentimes we will need a dumpster for the front of your residence. So we have the turf, which is laid out here, and we are working on the access repair, which is the area that was damaged when we did the pool excavation. The plants go in initially, and then we install the rock, which is the last step. We have also ran irrigation to all of the plant material, and normally you won't see the emitters, but they are always on every single plant. We lay down decomposed granite, or in other words, or at other times it's called chat, and we compact it. This is the area that will go underneath the turf, and we level out all the rock areas. If there's plants that are unavailable, oftentimes we will leave those areas open with an emitter, and we will put them in at a later time. As you can see, what we've done here, these are for future plant areas, and the irrigation is done underneath. So as we come around here, they chose river rock, which will go very nicely with this pool, and the plants are in. The lights are getting ready for the pool surface installation. So you will see them sitting like this oftentimes, and they hook them up when they do the pool, and they also drain the remaining water out. So this yard is nearly done. Next step will be finishing off these side areas with rock and adding the pool surface, whether it's plaster, quartz, or pebble, and adding water the same day. And then the pool is completed. Even though the pool looking like this, it looks like it's far from completion, this is the very last stage. Sometimes there is a couple week delay right here because of the final inspection to get past so we can put water in the pool, which is called the PPI inspection. But once that is passed, we schedule the plaster company to come out and install the pool surface. The barbecue, you can see, has also been completed. It has a beautiful look and it is ready for grilling. You can't grill until the gas is hooked up, which, unless it's off the side of your house, it needs to go to the meter, and the homeowner is the only person that can call the gas company after the pool is full of water to get that hooked up. Here we are at the plaster stage of the pool. This is the final stage. We mix the plaster in a truck and we pump it in by a hose to the backyard. Once all the plaster is shot on the pool, then we fill the pool with water the same day. The rock has been completed. The landscaping is nearing completion. We're still waiting on a few additional plants. The synthetic turf has been installed. And this is the plaster stage. On this one in particular, they are doing a blue color. So even though it seems just a little off-white once you get the water in, this will be a nice blue color, and it will change colors depending on if it's cloudy or sunny that day. You can see everything is covered up, and we go up to the edges of the pool. On this one, we plaster all the way around the spa and put it in everywhere where water may touch, so it seals it completely. This is all troweled on, and then we fill the pool with water. Prior to starting the plaster, all the pipes that were sticking out, they cut them off and they add either caps or heads or install the lights. You can see the light was installed there, and the light was installed there, as well as the returns. Down on the bottom you can see that will be the drains. So they simply put a sponge over it, and then when they get close to that area, they will install the drains. That is all done on the day of plaster. Okay, as you can see, water is filling the pool. This is later in the day from the previous scene that you just viewed, where the gentlemen were troweling on the plaster surface. And now this is just a few hours later, and the pool is now filling with water and will soon be completed. The spa has been plastered and it is ready to go. Once the water reaches halfway up the tiles, so that would be this tile here, halfway up that tile, take the hose out and move it over to the spa until it is full and halfway up the tiles. After the pool is full and you've turned off the water, it is very important that you begin brushing your pool, because the plaster has plaster dust and it's very heavy on the first day. You have to brush it and brush it for the first 5 to 7 days while your filter is running, and it will get all of the dust out of your pool. You do not want to let that settle on your plaster, which, again, brushing the pool after plaster is the homeowner's responsibility, so we ask you to do that. After your pool is full, make sure you notify our office and we will schedule a startup, and we will also schedule the orientation, which may be done at the same time. At this time, we do highly recommend hiring a pool service company, which oftentimes the individual that we send out to do the startup will have a route in the area. So that is what we recommend. Hiring a service provider for your pool will ensure that all the chemicals are kept right and the plaster is taken care of, and it really helps. Okay, we are continuing progress on this job. We have delivered the final pavers, which we will be doing a small pathway and an area for the trash cans that was added on, and will be a change order. If you see the permit sitting out on the gas line, do not remove this. You have to leave that until the final gas is done. You can see here that the gas line that we ran to the pool has not been connected to the meter. The homeowner needs to call the gas company to have them actually switch out this meter, and then they connect the gas line to the new meter. Okay, so here we are on the final stage. Our field supervisor, Nathan, is here. That's his truck. The dumpster is now full. We scheduled to have this picked up, and sometimes the maximum it'll take is about a week, but usually it's a couple of days. So if it's any longer than that, call our office and just let us know. Sometimes they miss it. Access repair has been completed. We added some pavers here, and the permit is still here. This needs to remain. The gas line is still not connected because the homeowner is now ready to call and schedule this, and then they will connect that. Pavers are all done. Gates all set. The rock has been completed. Pathway to the yard is done, looking good. The pathway lights have been installed. Plants have been installed. Grass is looking good. And the pool has been fully started up. And our orientation takes place. This is Nathan Rivero. You'll see him out on the job site. He'll review everything with the pool for you and get it fully functional. Spa's running nicely, as you can see, 360. So it has a negative edge all the way around. Nice and clean. The rock has been added to this side. There's been an equipment wall added. The equipment's all in. The electrical's complete. This is the panel. It's all set up. He added automation on this one, so he controls everything from his phone, which is an upgrade. And this job is done. Client is 100% happy, and it is a beautiful project.